Good morning, London Real entrepreneurs. This is video 2 of my 10-day vlogging challenge. So today, and yesterday I talked about my two passions that I found and what I'm going to be building my business around. So today I want to just talk to you about cybersecurity and why I feel it's important and it's a passion of mine and what I know about the industry, and we'll share some interesting facts hopefully with you that you may not be aware of. So one of the drivers for cybersecurity is the rise in cybercrime. You know, the figure I recently learned from a report there was the cost of cybercrime is going to touch 6 trillion to the global economy. You know, it's something that's going to affect almost every business online, whether you're in one man consultant outfit to a large enterprise. The impact on society of cybercrime um, is reflected in the numbers. When you just look at the numbers involved, it's shocking. So it's cybercrime that's driving the spend on cybersecurity. Um, and if you look at it, it's the rise in cybercrime is sort of relative to the growth of users on the internet. I read recently that content would go from last year from like 4 billion zettabytes online to 96. So that's a massive order of magnitude there. When you look at the breaches that have happened recently, the Yahoo attacks, 3 billion accounts. You look at the Equifax hack, 145 million people affected. The ransomware attacks, WannaCry, that hit the National Health Service in the UK and a lot of other businesses. There's something like 5 billion cost to clean that situation up there. So cybercrime is a big factor. When you look what the factors were in 2015, they projected 3 trillion in terms of damage. Now it's upwards of 6 trillion. So that's a massive transfer of wealth right there. Probably one of the biggest that we've seen yet, transfers of wealth. And I believe, and someone can quote me if I'm wrong, but it's touching, if not greater than the global trade of illicit drugs. This is where we are with cybercrime. And the numbers reflect that. You can go find the reports that I've read that sort of have been validated by academia and different government outlets as well. So, being on the front lines of cybersecurity, I see that. I always see the attacks, relentless, automated in a lot of cases, targeted, very sophisticated type attacks. So if you're a business and you are not in some way thinking about how to protect your users, protect your products, or just take basic security steps when you're going online, you run the risk of your systems being compromised. You run the risk of your users' data being breached. In the UK, in the EU actually, we've got some new legislation that people may or may not be aware of. It's called GDPR. And if your business has not taken reasonable steps to secure their information systems and there's a data breach, you are projected to, or not projected, you are going to be hit with a fine of up to 17 million or 4% of your business's revenue. Do you want to run that particular risk, by ignoring cybersecurity? And that's a big drive across industry at the minute, specifically in the UK and EU. And you probably notice a lot of these sites now are asking explicitly for your consent for your data when you sign up for their services. That's why, because they don't want to be caught out with a massive fine for not taking steps. So I see this every day in my career of protecting systems, and I see the growth in cybercrime, the projections. We also see the growth of the users of the internet. I think there's about 50% online now at the minute and continues to grow. So, and you look at the content projections, 4 billion to 96 billion zettabytes. That's a lot of digital content. And then you take into account, I'm a coder by trade, so something like over 100 billion lines of new code are put out there every year, and that's a massive attack surface there of vulnerable code that could be exploited by these malicious hackers, these cybercrime groups. And no one is immune. Don't think that just you're some small businesses you're going to be immune to this here. Even me with my experience in cybersecurity, I have been targeted. So businesses of mine have been targeted, and they were dormant, not trading businesses. So I've seen it firsthand from the professional space, but also as a victim myself. I've been out there and I've seen it, and thankfully I had the skills and experience to be able to deal with that. And I thought to myself when it happened, what if you were a business owner and you didn't have the cybersecurity experience, or what would you do? You'd be lost, and going to the police, it will not help. I can tell you that they're so understaffed and so under resourced, specifically in the UK anyway, that you're going to be not they won't have the resources to help you, and that's a fact. When it comes to cybercrime, you'll report it the action fraud, and they'll get back to you in months if you're lucky. So, cybersecurity, being able to help businesses, being able to help people to take better steps to secure their own computers, their own businesses, their own websites, their own online businesses. I think that's something I can really add value there to people, um, because not only do I have the technical skills to assist in that, but I also have the knowledge from business to see what's the best decisions to take on sometimes often limited budget. Um, and it's everyone worldwide is spending on it. I think the last metric I heard about spending on training alone was something around 10 billion a year. Companies are spending just on training their staff at all levels to be more aware, because everybody's responsible nowadays within a business to making sure that it's secure. You can't just leave it to IT to solve that. Oftentimes small businesses are only two, three people, one person, and they don't have that dedicated skill set within their business. So you want to be able to reach out to someone like myself, to get the knowledge and the experience quickly to make sure that you're taking the right steps to um, build a secure system for your customers and also for your own products. You don't want to put a product out there and then a hacker come along and just rip that product off you, in terms of intellectual property, and then and go and take that target audience from you, or malicious competitors damaging your website and your product, or denial of service on your website so you can't even get customers to it. And of course, ransomware is a huge pain these days. If your system gets infected with ransomware, the chances of you getting your files back are slim to none. It's deadly. It gets on there and encrypts all your files. So if you were a vet, for example, or you were any kind of business that contains sensitive data, or important data that you need for your customers. Vet was the first one that came to mind, but it could be any business. Once those files are encrypted and they're gone, you're out of business. And the bigger your business is and the more data that you have, it's more of a risk. So it's important that you take those steps, right? And that's where I can help. Um, what else? And of course, I've been a hacker, an ethical hacker. So I have the same kind of tools and use the same kind of techniques to exploit software systems, all kinds of software-based systems, um, in an ethical way for a company, so that I find the vulnerabilities, I find out how to exploit the system before the customer puts their product in the market. Because once they put that product in the market, it's going to be tagged specific. If it's online, you're going to be scanned. It's without a doubt, because you have a lot of these automated tools will just scan the internet looking for specific identifiers, and then if you're running something that's vulnerable, it's going to launch an attack against you. It's as simple as that. And if you haven't got the defense in depth and the mitigations in place to limit that, you are putting your customers at risk. So this is a clear passion of mine, cybersecurity. I see a lot of entrepreneurs, a lot of businesses that I've worked with in the past, smaller operations, small to medium sized enterprises also. Um, they're so stretched in terms of resources and people, that to bring in someone dedicated just to look after their security is not possible for them. So they do need to help, and it's better preventing something than trying to contain it once you've been breached. So prevention's always better than the cure, I'd say. So if you're thinking of starting a business, I would just part this knowledge, put some thought into the cybersecurity. And you might say, okay, I'm going to use a payment processor. Okay, how can you ensure that that payment processor does take the right steps compared to another one? What do you look for when you're assessing a vendor for their service? You just take it for granted that everybody else is using it, so I'm going to use it. There are ways you can assess different vendors before you take their products or their services. So, that's the kind of information that I have and have built up over the years, and it's something I'd like to help others with, specific around cybersecurity. So it could be from individuals, as I say, one-man entrepreneurs, building something online that just need some help around their securing that operation. Small, medium enterprises that may have an IT person, but they're not maybe the experienced IT security person, so it might come in and help them take the right steps to implement to reduce the risk on their business. And then it comes up to the bigger enterprises that know what they want. They just haven't got the in-house resource because they're all maxed out at 100%. And they need someone just to come in and give some direction and help them move that along. And everything in between. So, as I said, I did ethical hacking, so I do have the skills and experience to attack systems in an ethical way, without leaving them exposed, and then bring that information back to the team, to help them plug the holes of where their weaknesses are, to, as I say, put a secure product out there so it does not get exploited by these malicious hackers, because they will. It definitely will at some point. It's only a matter of time. So thanks for taking the time to listen. If you've any comments around anything I've said, you need any more information, just drop them in the comments below. Appreciate the feedback. This is vlog 2. Went a little bit longer than I expected, but hopefully I got across what it is I'm passionate about here, and how I'd like to use that going forward in my own business. Thanks.